And welcome to another episode of the Don't Argue with the Facts podcast. I'm your host, Noah Love, and today this is the video I said I was going to make. If you watch my last podcast, I've been planning on I wanted to gather as much information as I could, and the rumors are crazy. We are going to be specifically talking about the Jaylen Brown trade. We are going to be talking about why the trade was made. We are going to be talking about why the Boston Celtics lost this trade by a big one. We're also going to talk about why the Sixers really won this trade and a potential move that they could be looking to make. And it's another big one. We'll see, and we'll just get into these ridiculous rumors about Jaylen Brown. All this and more on the Don't Argue with the Facts podcast. Okay, let's get into it. Jaylen Brown, obviously, it broke in the middle of the podcast that I recorded on Wednesday. They traded star forward Jaylen Brown to Philadelphia 76ers for Paul George, 2 first-round draft picks and 2 second-round draft picks. Okay, let's get into why Boston is stupid for this trade. And why Brad Stevens has lost all that good faith he had. He's lost it. Number one, you traded a finals MVP, Jaylen Brown. People in his prime, right? And you broke up that duo. People weren't going to be happy about that regardless. Number two, you traded him for Paul George. So not only did you get older and worse, in terms of the money, I think Jaylen Brown was slated to make around $60 million. Paul George is slated to make around $55 million. And I think he's got a player option coming up, I think in 2 years, and that is worth like 58 million. And Paul George is not going to decline that because this is his last big contract in the NBA. So not only financially, from a flexibility standpoint, did you maybe get do you have more flexibility? Sort of. Not really though. Not really, because Paul George, yes, he's making less, but it's not that much less. You only get 2 first round picks. Or you draw. And the 2 first round picks, one in 2028 and the other is in I believe maybe 2029 or 2030. Those picks aren't going to be great because unless the Sixers just get injured, they're going to be a playoff team for the next bare minimum 3 years. Bare minimum. And then you have so I don't even understand. I don't even understand what like Brad Stevens, did you really hate Jaylen Brown that bad? Did you really hate Jaylen Brown that bad to a point where you sat out there and said, "Okay, we're gonna trade him for Philly"? And then initially they wanted, I believe, Edgecombe, Paul George, and picks. Why didn't you stand on that? Why did you not stand on that? If I'm Boston, this is a Finals MVP in the prime of his career, just coming off the best year of his career. At least if you make that trade and get Edgecombe, I could go, okay, Edgecombe, is going to be a stud, and he's been incredible. Maybe he could be as good, if not better, than Jaylen Brown one of these days. And you got picks. Don't love the Paul George contract still, but okay, at least you have somebody that you know. Maybe it extends the window for Tatum because Tatum is 28 years old. I mean, look, Jason Tatum, I don't know how they're going to try to rebuild this. Jason Tatum is 28 years old in the prime of his career. Do you really want the next 2 to 3 years be him basically being good or decent in the regular season, but not doing anything in the playoffs? And look, I understand you have a championship already, but is that what you want it to be? Because as of right now, that's where it's looking like it's headed. Is that what you want, Jason Tatum? Because at that point, that would mean, in terms of being the next time you will be a championship contender, let's go with the timeline in between 3 to 4 years. He'd be 31 or 32 years old. And that's not insanely old. He's still in his prime, but it's coming towards the back end of it, if not already on the back end. I just don't understand it. Now, to the rumors. Okay. This is additional details. Per Sam Amnick and by Jay King, the trade was not driven by finances. I'm going to hit each of these bullet points and tell you basically why that is false. Blazers analytics view Brown as a negative player. I don't care. I don't care what the Blazers say. One current GM doesn't view Brown as a top 50 player in the league. This is a slander campaign. We know this. Celtics believe all 4 picks received will be valuable, whether kept or used in trades. Boston questioned whether Brown would buy into re-accepting a smaller role alongside Tatum. Celtics thought Brown went off script too often during a playoff series loss to Sixers. Let's go to the trade not driven by finances. That is complete and utter crap. And I'm going to tell you why. It's bull. Because Jaylen Brown is eligible for another Supermax. Because he had the best year of his career and because he made All NBA and they won 50 something games, he's eligible for another Supermax. They were not going to pay him. Along with Jason Tatum's contract, they were not going to pay him that. They knew they weren't going to pay him that, and they knew that would be an issue with Jaylen Brown. And to me, that's really, you can say the Celtics organization can come out and say what they want. Oh, that's not the case. That's not the case. You know, we were going to pay. We just didn't want him here. He wasn't good for our locker room. And look, him not being good for the locker room until I hear otherwise. Okay, I I'm not in there. I'm not going to tell you that's wrong or right. What I am going to tell you is they were not going to pay him that supermax. They didn't want to pay him because if you pay him and now you're paying Tatum, now it makes it very much harder to get good players, build a championship team around that. You have to be very good in the margins, whatever the case may be. To say the trade was not driven by finances, bullcrap. It was driven by future finances. They did not want to pay Jaylen Brown. That's Superman, straight up. I'm gonna get to the Blazers and the Blazers analytics. First of all, analytics is stupid. First of all, if you're listening to the Blazers analytics about anything, I'm sorry. What have the Blazers won since the 70s? What have they won in the 2000s? They wasted Damian Lillard's prime basically. He made one conference finals appearance because they couldn't put a proper team around him. The re They got bad, so they traded him even though he didn't want to leave. The Blazers, I'm not looking. Look, I'm not. They view Brown as a negative player. Okay, have fun with John Morant. Look, if John Morant's great, then okay. Also, they're their own. They they let go of Tiago Splitter because I guess the coach didn't want to pay him, and it's not like Tiago Splitter was asking for a lot of money. Just the Blazers. That's crap. One current GM doesn't view Brown as a current top 50 player in the league. I want this GM to come out and say the 49 players or the 50 players that are better than Jaylen Brown. You you can't even get to fifth, 15 players that might not that are better than Jaylen Brown. Maybe 20. If I just went off the top of my head, I go, okay, Wimby, Luca, Jokic, Shea, Giannis, Tatum, uh I know I'm missing a lot. Tatum, geez, I'm not gonna be missing some people here. I don't even know if LeBron's a better player at this point. I don't think so. So we can remove him. Is Durant a better? I'll go. Okay, you can go Durant, Steph. Uh, it's hard for me to even get to 10. Steph. I guess if you want to give it to Brunson, I guess Brunson. Geez. Oh, I forgot about Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards. So we're at what 10, 9 or 10 right now. So I can't even get to 15. I I can't even get to 15. And look, yes, I am forgetting some people. And look, I that was just off the top of my head. But Kawhi, you probably take Kawhi. So what? That's 11. So 11 as of right now, right? Off the top of my head. So if I'm struggling to get to 11, 12, I would love the GM to name me 50. I would love the GM to name me 50. So I'm not having that. Celtics believe all four picks received will be valuable whether kept or used in trades. Okay, that could be true. Although if you're not using them in a trade, I don't know how those first round draft picks are going to be. I mean, look, you can luck into a superstar maybe, but you'll be in the mid 20s. Maybe you luck up, but it's highly unlikely. Boston questioned whether Brown would buy in to re-accepting a smaller role alongside Jason Tatum. That is the only thing of this where I agree with. Because I do agree that Jaylen Brown would not buy in into re-accepting a smaller role. And to be fair to him, can you blame him after the season they had? They were expected to tank, suck, whatever the case may be. They ended up winning 50 something games, and he was an MVP candidate. And that was a bunch of low rent dudes. I give credit to Jaylen Brown and Joe Mazzulla. I also want to know what Joe Mazzulla thinks of this. Also, the Celtics star Brown went off script too often during the playoff series loss to the Sixers. Whatever that means, whatever that means, I guess maybe ISO too much. I I don't like I don't know. So though those are some points. There's another rumor going around, basically from Colin Coward and what they said. One of his sources told him that people felt that Jaylen Brown had a disease where he thought he was the smartest man in the room. Okay, let's just get this straight. This man did go to Cal Berkeley for an education. This man could have got offered an internship at NASA. Do you know how smart you have to be to get offered an internship at NASA to become an astronaut? Do you know how smart you have to be, bro? And then he was running stuff at like Harvard. So again, this guy intellectually is smart. And if he thinks he's the smartest guy in the room, it's probably because he is. Probably. So he is a educated. Here is the real issue. He is a educated, young, outspoken black man in Boston, and the organization does not like. That's what it is. Cause what isn't Luke Cornett smart? Didn't Luke Cornett get an education from Vanderbilt? Wasn't he smart? I never heard. Oh, he thought he was the smartest man in the room. It's a disease. Stop it. Stop it. They're trying to make up all of these. This is what whoever's leaking these stories are doing. They, well, and I wholeheartedly believe it's probably people in the Celtics organization. They are trying to justify this trade by any means necessary. And they are trying to make people hate Jaylen, make people dislike Jaylen Brown. And Celtics fans aren't buying it, and other fans around the NBA world aren't buying it. We're not buying your bull crap. We're not buying it. I'm not buying it. The Celtics fans aren't buying it. The Pacers, the Lakers, the Warriors. No, even Sixers fans aren't buying this. And we will get to the Sixers side of it in a minute, because in a second. But to me, what this comes down to is they just did not want to pay him that another Superman. Just come out and say that. It's Do I believe that people in the organization did not like Jaylen Brown? Yes. And do I believe that was a reason why he was traded? Yes. It's not the main reason. The main reason was Brad Stevens did not want to give him another supermax. And he did not and he knew that would make it harder to build the team and build a good overall championship roster. That's what it comes down to. And if you and that's all you got to say. That's all you have to say. Period, point blank. Don't give me, well, I just think, well, he just thinks he's the smartest man in the room. Well, clearly y'all ain't, because y'all just gave this man away, the finals MVP away for 2 first-round picks and 36-year-old Paul George. So, I mean, come on. Come on. Stop it. This is like the Luca smear campaign where they were just trying to justify everything, justify the Luca trade. It's a dumb trade. Just like this is a dumb trade that more than likely will come back to haunt the Boston Celtics, and it will come back to haunt the Dallas Mavericks. That that's what it comes down to. Now, let's go to the Philly side of this. Philly, they got look, they get a top 15 player at best to pair with one of the better guards in the NBA. Better guard duos in the NBA. You got a young Edgecombe, you got a young Maxi. You get Brown, and then if Embiid's healthy, we know what he can do. But they're anticipating. I'm anticipating Embiid only playing 40 games again. Here is the issue, not with the trade, but with the roster that I think will hurt them. They have no bench. They were able to sign Anthony Simons, I believe, but they outside of that, they have no bench. So they only go what, about 6 deep at the moment. That is going to be an issue, right? I look at the Philadelphia 76ers and I look at their GM, their new GM, and he just said, "Look, I'm sick and tired. Uh I'm going to go out and improve this roster." And he's done it to so far. I mean, you cannot tell me Maxi Edgecombe, Jaylen Brown, and Joel Embiid. That's not, if you get some decent players around there, you can't tell me that's not a top 3 team in the East right now, right? I mean, they got embarrassed against the Knicks. They got embarrassed, and so they went out and said, we're sick and tired of getting embarrassed." You also got, oh, I also remember they got Phylon too. I talked about that in my another video. So now, right now, that's going to be the bench. Phylon to me is going to be a stud, and I think he's going to light Philadelphia on fire in terms of how good he can potentially be for them. The thing is with Philly is going to be health. Mainly, it depends on the big fella's health, Embiid. Because when Embiid's on the floor, they play significantly slower. But when Embiid's off the floor, they play significantly faster because Maxi and Co wants to play fast. And look, we know how good Tyrese Maxi can be. Um, the you get off of Paul George's contract that I don't even know why you gave him in the first place. I know why you gave it to him. You felt like that was going to be the big splash, and then his play kind of dipped. Look, Paul George, it's his last big contract. But obviously I was like, because I said this, I think when they lost to the I think when they lost to the Knicks, I said I don't know who would even take him if they're going to try to trade a Paul George or Embiid. I thought they were stuck from the standpoint of I don't even know who would take their the contracts, and well, one of those two contracts, and well, hey, and look, I know Jaylen Brown's making a lot of money, but he's worth that. So yeah, I look, I think, I just think with the Brad Stevens, he he let his dislike, because that's what I feel like it is. It's a dislike, get in the way of, he lets dislike get in the way of making a good deal. Now, I think Brad Stevens wanted to be bad last year. I think he said this is a gap year for us to figure out, okay, how do we move forward? Because remember, they traded Holiday, they got off of Porzingis, they got off of all these guys, and Tatum was anticipated to be out the whole year. And well, Joe Mazzulla and Jaylen Brown had other ideas. And so I don't know if Brad Stevens liked that. And so he's going to make this trade. And now, next year, with a healthy Tatum, will they be bad? I personally think Brad Stevens wants a year to be bad so they could potentially get in the lottery, get a top pick, and then pair him with Tatum, and then go for there, and then kind of rebuild the roster around that. That's just my theory. I don't know that for sure. That's just my theory. But To be very clear, the Boston Celtics lost this trade and it is one of the worst trades I've seen since the. It's probably the worst trade since the Luka trade. No way, no way. You only get two first round picks for a top 15 bare minimum player, and then you don't even get younger. You get older, and then you don't even shed that much salary. I just It's a bad trade overall. All right, everybody. This has been an episode of the Don't Argue with the Facts podcast. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And until the next time, see ya.